Hi everyone, it's William back with the Grand Duke Dmitri Diary series on YouTube, and we're doing diary entries for February 1940. There may be an interruption starting tomorrow because I will be traveling, making my way through Switzerland and France, and then back to the US. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to do during that period of transition. But anyway, what did we do last time? We did 4 diary entries, the 12th through the 15th. So that was kind of a lot, but we got through it. And Dmitri was writing lots of letters. That seems to have been his main activity during this period at the sanatorium. He was still, Giselle and Reggie Porbrick were still in Davos, so he was seeing them. He was waiting for some books sent to him by Maria, that Maria had sent to him from the US. He was gaining weight, but also coughing stuff up and feeling nauseated and throwing up. So yeah, health-wise, it was kind of neither here nor there. He'd finally gotten, finally was his word, a long letter from Audrey about how Polly was doing and about his new school in New York. And finally, he was watching Finland very closely, and doesn't seem to have been getting really detailed news. But anyway, this what I believe from what I've looked at online, there was a major Soviet attack that broke through the Finnish line, the Mannerheim line, on the 11th, and we're already up to the 16th, and Dmitri hasn't mentioned that. He's just said that Finland is hanging on. And I think the Winter War would continue on until March, when the peace would finally be signed. Okay, anyway, that's enough of that. Let's dive in. And we'll only be doing 2 diary entries today, but I'm going to stop between the first and the second and do the comments between them because because of the people that he's mentioning. I want to make sure you know who they are. All right, 16th February 1940, Thursday. Letters to General Polovtsov, Vera Mizuchi, Blank Mizuchi, Vava Golitsyn. It's still frightfully cold and one cannot lie outdoors. Reggie came to me at 6 o'clock p.m. I dined at the sanatorium. From Finland. The Finns are holding on, but there's still a frightful battle going on. Blank Mannerheim, who has, or that has not yet been broken. Okay, so who are these people that Dmitri was writing to? Well, if you watched the video series for the 1921 diaries, then you will remember perhaps Alexander Sasha Polovtsov and Pete Pyotr Polovtsov, and it just now occurs to me that I didn't go back and make sure I knew which one was the general. Alexander was kind of a big wheel. He was involved in diplomacy, and he was a writer. He was a intellectual, very highly respected. Dmitri seems to have liked Pete, the other brother, much better. But yeah, so he's writing to General Polovtsov, and yeah, not saying anything more than that. Vera Mizuchi, I don't know at all if I pronounce her name correctly. She was a friend of Dimitri's going all the way back at least to 1919. And the impression I have gotten from his writings is that he probably met her in either France or Italy in 1914. Well, between 1912 and 1914, a period of time when he was doing a little bit of traveling, visiting his father, and in 1914 even a kind of abbreviated grand tour. And he seems to have met a lot of people during that time that he would not see again until after the war, one of them being Coco Chanel. So Vera Mazzucci was one of these. Her husband, I have a quote here from my friend Ed Hansen, who sent me a little information about him. Her husband was in the champagne business in Rheims, was honorary Italian consul there, served as Dmitri's witness at his civil wedding ceremony, along with the U.S. ambassador standing for Audrey, and was also a crown bearer at the religious wedding in Biarritz. Vera, okay, end of quote. Vera was very well known as a society hostess who gave so-called, gay parties, at that time being just, fancy, maybe, I don't know, anyway, grand parties, however you would put that, in Paris, also in Saint Moritz and on the Riviera. So they were kind of part of the pre-jet set. And yeah, so Dimitri's apparently wrote to both of them. It's interesting that Signor Mazzucci was a crown bearer at the Orthodox wedding between Audrey and Dmitri in Biarritz, because as far as I know, a person is, well, maybe that's not true. I don't know if a non-Orthodox, I guess obviously a non-Orthodox person can be a crown bearer at an Orthodox wedding. The crown bearer is like the best man. Instead of there being a maid of honor and a best man, you have crown bearers, one for the bride, one for the groom. I'm Greek Orthodox. In the Greek Orthodox Church, it's very light. The crown is very light. It's like a floral wreath. But in Russian Orthodox Church, it's metal, it's heavy. I've never had to do that. I've been a crown bearer in a Greek Orthodox wedding, but not in a Russian Orthodox wedding. Anyway, they were relatively close friends, although Dmitri never says a whole lot about them at any point in the diaries. Oh, and Vera Mazzucci had also written 2 books that you can find online, but nobody really describes what they're about. I think one of them is a novel. Anyway, the other person that he writes to is Vava Golitsyn. And Vava Golitsyn, Vava is short for Vladimir Emanuelovich Golitsyn, a prince. Sorry, I don't know what's going on there. So Prince Vladimir Emanuelovich Golitsyn, called Vava, he had been an adjutant to Grand Duke Nikolai Nikolaevich Jr. in the Caucasus. And I got to know his son in London way back in the 90s. And yeah, I've talked about him before, Emanuel Golitsyn. And the interesting thing is that Emanuel, at this time that Dmitri was writing to the father, the son was in or on his way to or on his way out of Finland. So this is the man I mentioned in previous videos who went, very young man, I think about 20 years old, and decided he wanted to volunteer to fight the Soviets in Finland, which was awkward because he was a British citizen. But anyway, I won't go into that again. Those are the people that Dmitri was writing to, and on that Thursday, and saying that the Finns are holding on. There's a frightful battle, but the Mannerheim line hasn't been broken yet, and as far as I know, it had been. But anyway, next, 17th February, the Friday. Letters to Lupe Corcuera, Edith de Erlinger, Andrea of Greece, and then in parentheses he puts Monte Carlo, Mrs. Beadle, in parentheses he puts London, lunched with the poor bricks in Davos, Giselle's birthday, afternoon in bed, alarming news from Finland, though the Finns are holding on, but that can't last for long. The numbers overwhelmingly favor the Reds, and there will be a catastrophe, exclamation point. Okay, let's dive right into this. Lupe Corcuera. No idea who she is. If you've ever heard of her, let me know. The surname is Corcuera. Edith Derlinger, looks like a French name, but these are British people. She is well known enough to have her own Wikipedia article if you want to look her up. First name Edythe, and the surname is D'Erlanger. She was born into a poor family in the U.S., in Kansas, in 1899. So she was 8 years younger than Dmitri. But somehow or other, she learned to play the piano, joined a vaudeville troupe while she was still a kid, moved to England in 1926 and became a celebrated jazz pianist. So not only did she somehow manage to learn to play the piano, she learned to play it, at a very, very high level, at a professional level. So in 1928, she married Gerard. No, he's not British, is he? I don't know. Gerard Derlinger. My note says that he was a scion of a wealthy banking family that just happened to be full of talented musicians. So no wonder they fell for each other. And Dmitri was on friendly terms with several members of this family. I don't know why I said they were British. Probably French. Well, she's American. So they appear, various members of the family appear throughout the diaries, the post-revolutionary diaries. Andreas of Greece, Prince Andrew of Greece, father of the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, and he seems to have been he was Dmitri's uncle, and he seems to have been one of the members of the Greek royal family that Dmitri particularly liked and that liked Dmitri. Dmitri did meet Prince Philip in 1938 when Prince Philip was quite a young man and nobody special at that time. He hadn't married into the British royal family yet. All right, Mrs. Beadle. I have no idea who she is. Next time, we're going to continue on with this parade of letters and hearing more about the people that were important to Dmitri in the 1930s, obviously, and that important enough that he was still corresponding with them, in touch with them while he was at the sanatorium. Yeah, he's starting to feel a little down in this next group of diary entries, but and certainly still watching Finland as close as he can, getting whatever information he can. And yeah, so I'm not sure when I'll see you next time, but hopefully not too distant future. And thank you for your patience while I'm in transition. And hope to see you soon. Bye.